Good evening and welcome to this week's episode of Sunday Night Live, your favorite show where we tackle the issues that affect the customer experience at your store. Whether it's the front of the store, the back of the store, it doesn't really matter. The better the experience, they come back to you for everything they need when they need it. And I am very fortunate. I've got a great network of friends and connections, and this week is no exception. I've got Chad Goodson, I've got Larry Feldman, and we're going to get into how to build a killer sales team. I saw a post from Chad where he had posted they were at, I think, about a 207% year-over-year increase. And I almost fell down on the ground, and I picked up my phone. I called Chad. I said, Chad, I need you on the show like right away, man. And, so much of our business is you've got to set it up properly. Then you've got to nurture it. And then you've got to just relentlessly execute. And part of the setup is finding the right people. And who better than Larry Feldman to do that? So I figure if I tie these guys in together with the show, then we'll be able to offer you something of value that you can use tomorrow at your stores. So welcome, gentlemen. And if you would be so kind as to introduce yourselves for the one or two folks that might not know you. Chad, you first.
Sure. Thanks a lot, Paul. It's an honor to be with you. And if I wasn't excited enough already, the bumper music really got me jacked up. So thanks for that. Just a quick, the only time I'm uncomfortable, Paul, is talking about myself. So I'll be quick on that one. I'm happy to share everything that's happening within our business and really dive in and get your thoughts as well. But I'm Chad Goodson. I'm the general manager for Volkswagen of St. Augustine. There is so much that's happening in the business right now. We're in the midst of just, I've never seen volatility like I have the last 4 or 5 years. But it's like month to month, there are always different factors that you have to assume. And that's kind of where we are now. I'm also the founder of Innovative Mastermind. It's a performance management firm where we work with other dealers on people, process, and technology. My claim to fame in this business has been doing that and swinging in that lane for about 20 years. I'm a second generation dealer. I came out of the dealership in my 20s, and I've been on that side of the desk as a vendor partner for many, many years. And just the past year, I've jumped back into the world of the dealer. And I tell you what, until you get back in the driver's seat and really get to experience things firsthand, when it's in your blood, it never gets out. And it's been really exciting so far. Thanks, Paul, for letting me be here.
Awesome. Thank you, Chad. And Larry Feldman.
Sure. I'm a former dealer. Did somebody a favor 13 years ago with recruiting and training. Chad, be real careful about doing people favors. I mean, it always bites you in the butt. And when I saw how bad they were, I thought, I'm going to start my own company. And for 4 years, I sales, trained, and recruited, had a lot of fun, made a lot of friends. And a guy in Florida said, Larry, we've got 20 salespeople. We had a manager's meeting, and we realized that you found, hired, and trained 15 of them. And we just calculated it today. The top 10 are all your guys. Can you find us service people? So being the honorable car guy that I was, I lied and said, sure, of course I can. How hard can that be? Was I going to say, no, I don't want your business? And, just go all over the country. I'm in Canada. I'm in California. And I think just about every state in the union, finding every position from detailers to techs to lot porters to title clerks to controllers to sales managers, and just having fun and, just showing up and doing what needs to be done. And I can say this, I deal with so many smart tech guys. We were talking about a couple before we went live. More than ever, as we go through this, it's going to be more important to be human and be old school. Because I'm going down very happy after I go to Dallas to go to Sarasota. And I tried to book something through something. And after about a half an hour, I realized no matter what I did, I was not going to talk to a human being. And it's going to get scarcer and scarcer. And the more we answer our phones, the more we communicate, the more we're going to be able to better use technology and AI, but not lose the fact that people are now starved for human contact. They're so starved to have somebody actually talk to them and be nice to them. So just trying to keep the human stuff in, trying to have fun, trying to make more friends, and just trying to keep moving forward. And listen, if Chad's a little shy, I can talk about him a little bit too.
I'll just mention on that note, Larry, you know, it sounds like a cliche, right? And it doesn't sound very profound, but having the right people on the bus is key. It's number one. It doesn't matter what business you're in, but especially in automotive retail, that has not changed. You know, I'm anybody that knows me knows I'm as pro technology. We're always looking for an edge, but no question about it. The talent that you have around you, you're only as good as the team that you have around you. You know, yet another cliche, but when you climb back in that seat and they hand you the controls, then you realize now more than ever you're dependent upon great people, and you're only going to be as good at those that you surround yourself with.
Yeah, but the funny thing, Chad, is if you call probably every other recruiter other than me, what they'll do is they'll start bragging about their algorithms and all their technical stuff. Yep. Which I don't know if Paul told you, but in my trunk I keep a sundial and an abacus because I like to stay within at least 3 centuries of what's modern. But right. I just left Waynesboro, Georgia, and they were concerned that I get anybody in because it's an urban area, and I got 9 hired, and I could have had more hired, but they didn't have enough desks. And my secret was really simple. I reached out to the people immediately that applied. And I said to a bunch of them, I said, I'm not offended. You applied to other jobs, didn't you? Yeah. Well, you realize the only reason you're sitting here is because we jumped on you right away where the other people didn't. It's the same thing. I say it all the time. What the car salespeople talk about all day, it's not sex. It's not sports, even as my Eagles just won the Super Bowl. It's that there's no business. And then when a car pulls up, 3 guys go, oh, he don't look like a buyer. Send the rookie out. No. So as long as our mentality is not to be expedient and not to be optimistic, where are we? All it does is leave room for people like the 3 of us, and I'm not being egotistical for the 3 of us, but all 3 of us leap on business. I wrote a book, Chad, and then I'll shut up, called Inner Moron Demons, How to Avoid Them and How to Live Your Best Life. And maybe the most useful line in there is if you want to get rich, act like you're broke, and if you want to go broke, act like you're rich. I got a few bucks, so do you and Paul. But I attack every day like, man, I gotta feed the 11 kids, and I don't have 11 kids. And yet I see salesmen that are living paycheck to paycheck trying to judge who's a buyer. Guess what, stupid? They're all buyers. They didn't come here to eat pizza.
Right. Exactly. And to your point about the people, 100% absolutely, you know, they're the backbone of any business, okay? I was at a dealership recently. I don't recall if he was a 2nd or 3rd generation dealer. And he was telling me he was going through some old boxes, and he found an old sales book from the 50s. And the stuff that was in that sales book, the road to the sales stuff, all the same stuff today. So nothing has really changed. We've gotten lazy. And, you know, we've gotten to the point where we think we know what the people are doing more than the people that are actually doing it. And all that's got to change. So I got a comment here. Nathan Williams, looking forward to tonight's automotive goodies. By the way, long time no see. Man, I was just here, except for the Super Bowl. I'm smart enough to know that I'm not going to compete with the Super Bowl. And next week I will be in visiting with my granddaughter. So I vowed this year to take a little bit more time to do some of the family stuff with the little ones, because time goes too fast, and in the blink of an eye, it's several years later. And I was always there for my kids for every event. I want to try to be there a little bit more for my granddaughter this year. So there may be a couple shows here or there that I miss because I'm traveling for family, but that's the way it goes. And Nathan says, by the way, Chad, is any relation to the late game show producer Mark Goodson by any chance? Just wonder.
If I were, I probably wouldn't be here, Paul. But no chance. No.
Oh, and just to let you know, Larry's sitting in the dark because he lost power, but he's so devoted to the show, he's got squirrels running on a treadmill, powering up the battery that's keeping his phone active. So thank you, Larry.
And apparently it wasn't a tree that went down. Chad Goodson cut the power line to my house when he heard he was going to have to be on a show with me.
That's what it was.
All right, so hiring crisis. Everybody says there's a hiring crisis. I don't think so. And I hear a lot of, oh, nobody wants to work. No, I don't think so either. I think it's not nobody wants to work. It's maybe nobody wants to work for you. There's a big difference, right? How are you finding some of these people, Larry? Because you find them everywhere. It's not one town.
Well, I'll give away some of my secrets. My ads are short. They're punchy. I put, I'm easy to reach if you respond. But people still want to work. And if you think about it in a perverse reversal of thought, it's actually better, because if you get 50 people 10 years ago and 47 of them didn't really want the job, as opposed to people that actually apply, that show up. I interviewed everybody I interviewed these last 3 weeks that I asked to come in, because obviously some people aren't quite suited for it, no disrespect. They all showed up. So these are all easy myths, to play into. Listen, it's your damn life and what you want to do with it, and it's your damn business, and what you want to do with it is what's going to determine. It's too easy to blame the president, the mayor, your religion, the town, the COVID. It's all nonsense. People that want to make a living find a way to make a living, and people that don't. They quoted to Henry Ford, but it's really Lincoln, who basically said, if you think you can or you think you can't, either way, right? If I call Chad and say, Chad, you're not going to like this, I haven't even said it yet, and he already doesn't like it. So the mindset is pretty simple. There's still plenty of people that want to make a living and have some fun. And I'm not going to say it's easy, because I don't think anything's easy, but I really don't have any trouble attracting people because they make it clear I want there. Chad, you run dealerships, and you know how important it is to make it clear to the customers, boy, are we glad you're here, rather than the eye roll experience. Like, yeah, sure, let me show it to you. It's the same thing.
Well, rather than in my experience, rather than try to sell someone on what you have, how about show someone what you have and build the right culture to begin with? So I have a very finite, I've got a team of over 50 employees, just under this one rooftop. And anyone, I would hope that any of my employees that you would speak with would speak on this behalf, is we're setting a standard of our expectations professionally. Every single individual I have, doesn't matter their name or their title, their position, those things. Every team member we have, we're setting a new standard, and they're professionals, and they're holding me to a standard, and I'm holding them to a standard. That's the culture we're building, where there's mutual trust, there's mutual admiration and respect. And really the sky is the limit. I don't care what your job is. I don't care if you just came out of high school. So the question I have is, what type of culture, if I'm an employee, if I'm a top talent and I'm looking, for a next opportunity, number one, if I got to sell you on how great my opportunity is and the vision I have, then I probably don't want you in the first place, and we probably don't need to be talking. So if you're developing the right culture, and I think this is something good that everyone could ask, because this is something we talk about a lot. Your culture is what your employees think about when they're in the parking lot on their way home. It's what they think about your business. And, anyone that you bring in, if you bring in top talent, they're going to ask questions. They're going to be asking the folks around you, okay, so tell me what's really going on here. So your employees your employees have as much to do with your sales success and the numbers you put up every month as the customer that walks in the door. So setting that standard and that culture, we don't want to look and feel and smell like all the rest. And right. if we do, then all we're doing is getting in it. We're playing the same game that customers hate, and that is just playing the race to the bottom, where it's all about price. If I can save you $10 a month or not, right? So you got me fired up already, Paul. You guys have brought up hiring and culture and all of those things, and that's the foundation we're building our business on.
And you know what? It's no secret that foundation is, whether you're in a car dealership, on the retail side, on the variable side, on the fixed side, whether you're a vendor. Okay, I saw somebody posted on LinkedIn the other day, about difficulty. How do you pitch the right people? Well, how you pitch the right people is not to pitch them. How you pitch the right people is you build your brand so that people see value in what you do, and then people reach out to you, right? The whole sales model, in my opinion, has changed. We've gone from, hey, what do I got to do to put you in this car today, crack our knuckles, to becoming educators, right? We want to do a better job in discovery. We want to lead the customer to the purchase decision so that they're the ones that say, okay, great. So what's next?
Mm-hmm.
Right? And it's the same thing with bringing people in, right, Larry?
Yeah, but you said you found an old sales book that was 50 years old. Whether it was 50 years ago or 10 years ago or 10 minutes ago, if you think about the top salespeople in every organization, they're friendly, they stay in touch with their customers, they're accessible. These things, as I said, not only haven't these things changed, they've actually augmented themselves because everybody's so desperate for human contact. Chad, I talked to a million really high-tech guys, good guys, but I always ask them the same damn question. Do you like it when you call a place and you get 7 prompts and then they disconnect you? Of course you do.
That customer's gone. Yeah. You lost that customer.
I mean, every dealer you know and I know and Paul knows will tell you how great their website is. It's because they've never gone to their website. Okay, they've never seen how many links are broken or how long it takes to get from screen to screen or how you basically discourage. I know most dealers aren't listening to the phone calls of their customers, because if it is, you couldn't get into the suicide prevention hotline. It'd be totally loaded up with dealers who can't believe the people they're paying and all the advertising they're doing for people that basically say, you really don't want to buy a car here. Stop bothering me.
Yeah.
So it doesn't sound like you have a personnel problem, Chad. It doesn't sound like you're starving for people.
You know, just this topic excites me because, you know, again, I visualize the folks that we have with us. You know, I walked into a situation a year ago where the business wasn't broken. I wasn't trying to fix. I wasn't brought in. You know, I didn't partner with the DeFeo group because they had something broken. I came in to enhance something that was already good, and that comes with it. That comes with its own set of challenges. But it does take time to identify who your key players are, and then filling in the gaps. It doesn't matter, you know, if you're running a middle school basketball team or trying to run a major business. So, you know, and then once you instill that culture and you set the expectation and the standard, you know, I look and value someone like a Larry to be a facilitator of great talent more so than a recruiter, because I expect my business model and my brand I expect that word to get out on the street, right? We want to build something where we've got folks that are standing up and saying, I wonder if I could have the opportunity to be part of a business like what's happening there. So that's what's key for me.
My friend Ed Roberts has that kind of a situation at Bozard Ford Lincoln, right? When I was visiting him, he looked at me and he said, you know, I had a big problem with turnover last year. And I said, Ed, what are you talking about? You? How? Explain. He says, yeah, I think we hit 5% last year. 5%. There's dealers getting 50, 60%, you know, turnover. And he's complaining about 5%. And look who's with us here, Chad. Ben Koppel says homepage to price in 3 clicks ideally. Less is more. 100%, man.
He's got that right.
So give me some of the qualities that you see in some of the top salespeople.
Is that for me?
Yeah.
I'm happy to jump in. Yeah. So, you know, for the people that you want on your team, you know, and it depends on size and scope, and it depends on, you know, if we're talking about 20 rooftops, doesn't matter what it is, but if you're looking for for salespeople who are customer facing, the folks that are going to work with your customer day in and day out, you know, what we present to them is an opportunity of a business within a business. And I know, again, that's very cliche, but in reality, how often does that really occur in the business today? There's over 18,000 new car franchise dealers. I can't speak for all of those. I've been in probably 65% of them in the last 15 years. So I've had a lot of exposure there. But with my business today, you know, my expectation in a great salesperson who's someone who gets it. And you say, well, what is that, Chad? What does it mean to get it? It's they see an opportunity, right? If someone handed you a new car franchise, you've got a new car franchise hanging over your head. You've got a desk that's bought and paid for along with a phone. You have all this technology. You have someone spending $50,000 a month to attract customers to you. And then you're handed thousands of customers in a database that have already purchased from your company. Okay. So I don't know, but for those of us who started multiple businesses, then you understand the value in that. And if you don't, you should. So, for me, it's about people who get it, because I have a finite number of spaces, right? I'm not looking for someone who's going to sell 10 or 12 cars a month. You got to think bigger than that. And as a dealer, you got to change your mindset first. So you can't ask your team to change their mindset if you're not willing to. So what you want to do is bring those people in. It needs to be a diverse group. If you've got a cookie cutter model and you're trying to bring in someone where they're all the same, it's never going to work. You can't expect them to think and act and talk like you, because they're human beings, and your customer is buying from them. So we celebrate diversity in that way. We do have a playbook of standards where, hey, this is the expectation, but we want you to implement who you are to that, because that resonates with a customer. So, when I look for the right salesperson, I want someone who gets it, who sees a long-term opportunity. If you're there to kick the tires, then we're not interested. You don't want us to look at you as if you're the individual that's just going to help us fill a month. And we don't want to invest in you that way, because what we're going to do, although it's never perfect, I don't care who tells you that it is, we're going to be very intentional about when we bring you on, what the expectation is, what that timeline looks like, and then how you can expect to grow, and the resources we're going to provide you along that way. So for the right individual, they see that and they buy into it. And when you present that as I have, then it's also going to help you filter those who don't.
You set the stage, right? And to your point, that's huge, right? To just understand that whole concept of the business within a business, right?
The business within a business with no debt service. You're involved in a multi-million-dollar business where they never ask you to pay the floor plan or pay Social Security taxes.
None of that. And for any dealer that thinks it's okay for the 10 to 12 person salesperson, that is the wrong thinking. That desk is valuable real estate. Valuable. You only have so much space.
Paul, the problem is the statements show what you made, but they don't show what you missed or what opportunities you didn't fulfill. For me, Chad, it's really simple. I'm looking for people that are friendly. We don't want anybody misanthropic. It's amazing how many salespeople don't like their customers or resent them. What does this guy want? I don't know. Maybe he's here to buy a car. They've got to be ambitious and they've got to be organized. Yeah, having a great personality, all these things are terrific. But if you're not planning your day the night before, if you're not following up like a maniac, if you're not putting your stuff in the CRM, again, things that we've been talking about till we're tired of talking about them, the mark of a successful, Chad, I've always been crazy. And I've always sold, and wherever I go, people go, this guy's nuts, but I like him. That's not what got me through. I'm organized. I follow through with whatever I'm supposed to do. I write everything down. Yep, I'm that guy with the pen in his hand. And it's astonishing that all the people that don't write things down, how many things they forget, they lose in spam. So if you're ambitious, if you're friendly, and if you're organized, you're on the path to do something successful. If one of those three is missing, you got a problem.
And as Ron Belazaro says, and the salespeople have to have the passion. I like what you said, Larry, about the guy with the pen. I'm the guy with the pen. And I tell people flat out, I remember everything that I write down. Okay. I'm in 3 different businesses. I'm in the automotive business, I'm in the restaurant business, and I'm in the yarn business. Okay. And very few people remember everything without writing it down. One time, I have a guys' night out group. Once a month, we get together. Sometimes it's 4 guys. It's been 14 guys at a different restaurant venue in the state of Connecticut. We break bread for 3 hours because I always joke it's my 3-hour dinner hour. And then we disband. We see each other a month later. We were at one restaurant. There were, I think, 8 or 10 of us there. And this server, in a busy place with lots of noise everywhere, she took everybody's order. She didn't write anything down. She came back with every order exactly as stated.
But she's an aberration. She's not the norm. She's the diverse part of the norm. Chad, you'll get a kick out of this. When I train people, I always tell them my greeting, welcome to whatever deal, I'm Larry Feldman. Here's my card. Can I ask your name? Can I write that down? I'm terrible with names. I don't want to forget yours. And I pull out a 3x5 card. And I love telling the story where somebody came up to me at the dealership and say, man, you must really be cheap. I said, what do you mean? So, well, the rumor is you're making more than the owner and you're walking around with 3x5 cards. You look stupid. I said, well, the truth is I'm really cheap. Was I going to tell him? The secret is I want my customers to think they're smarter than me. I want to look like I'm simplistic because everybody I've ever met has mistakenly given somebody their email and they can't get rid of me. If they call the FBI, they're tortured forever.
No.
So once again, if we think about the things we're doing and what comes out of our mouth and how simplistic we need to make it, we want to be Staples. We want to be a big easy button. Instead of saying no problem, we manufacture problem. One last thing, just because Chad will get a kick out of it. Whether I'm training rookies or I'm training experienced salespeople that need a kick in the butt, I always send them out to mystery shop. But not to say they want a car, to say they want a car for their sister who just had a baby. If it's guys me and Paul's age, I say it's our daughter, which makes us grandpa. You would not believe how many places across the country, instead of saying congratulations, boy or girl, is it your first time being an uncle? Hey, congratulations. Always the same thing. Why isn't she here? What's her credit like? Tell her to look online. It's almost like we have a manual that says this is how not to sell a car, and everybody reads it. That's the thing they study.
You know, what's important now, it's even more important now than ever to develop the people skills, because let's face it, we've gotten fat and happy through COVID, made a lot of money, but not without a cost. I'm interested to see what the delta is between profits made and customers lost and the lifetime value of the customer lost, because there are going to be a number of people that either can't get out of their cars or maybe got into cars that they can't afford and their credit prevents them from getting into another car. And people are holding on to their cars longer. So these simple things like emotional intelligence and adaptability, these are all things that we need to make sure our people have, because Larry said before, we don't necessarily know the ones we're missing, right?
Yeah, but wait a minute, Paul. I said ambitious. And part of being ambitious isn't just clocking everybody that's in front of you, but having a long-term strategy to keep them happy so they'll come back and they'll bring their friends and relatives. Listen, in a million years, I wasn't on the floor. I was vendoring all over the planet. But in a million years, I would have never said to anybody, that's the price, and if you don't want it, 5 other people would say it. What I would have said is if I was over list, I would have said, you know what? You're such a terrific customer. Give me a minute. I'd come back and chop something. I don't care if I had to take it out of my pocket. We all know it's not the words, Dr. Albert Marini. It's the tone. It's the inflection. It's convincing people that you're on their side. And why the hell wouldn't you be on their side? Again, forgive me, Chad, I'm quoting my own book. They're not annoyances, they're annuities. But we treat customers like they're annoyances.
You know, for dealers, I'll just say this: COVID seems like an eternity ago. You know, we're far removed from that and back into to business the way it was. But the truth is, you know, we hear that a lot and we say that a lot. But the truth is, it's never going to be the way it was. The anomaly that took place, you know, over that 21, 22, 23 period. You know, you look at all you got to do is look at financial statements right now, and you'll know that we're paying for the sins of COVID right now. And all the dealers are saying amen who are listening in right now, because that's where we are. It's hitting us in the pockets with our gross, because you've got, you know, not to belabor that point, I focus very little time on the things we can't control, and 98% of the time on the things that we can. But there's certainly real factors that are playing a part right now, you know, with all things COVID. Pressure exposes your weaknesses. Think about that. You know, if you go to the gym, you hire a trainer, the first thing they're going to do, if they saw me, they'd poke me in the belly, right? They wouldn't look at, you know, your shoulders. They look right where it hurts, right? And they say, we got to get strong here. So in the cold months of February, I don't know collectively, you know, we had a great January. But, you know, don't speak too fast, because the next month you're only as good as your most recent month. And, you know, February is a grind and it's a short month, but it does expose where you're weak. And if you have an inefficiency, you can talk about it as a team. but you never learn more than you do after a loss or when you having to play come from behind in the second half. And I think if a lot of dealers are honest right now, February is going to be one of those pressure months, and you have to look and see where you are as a business and with your talent. Have you developed the talent that you brought on board? Are you comfortable that they're executing the process, right? And anybody that's been around me for 5 minutes knows how much we talk about process and how important that is.
But Chad, think about it. For a few years, there were so few cars, and we charged such a premium, some dealers, that we never thought about the fact that we're back now more than ever with interest rates being what they are with floor plan, that the quick turn is the key to everything. Getting the cars into the shop and on the lot and turning them, right? I don't think we have to discuss it. We all know that a short turn, a quick turn for a short profit makes you a lot more money of a net than a big profit 90 days from now. And yet again, we're not always looking. Listen, if we were really paying attention, and I'm not using we for the folks on this show, would we neglect fixed operations? I mean, most dealers, I can't give you numbers. You didn't drive the car. Well, shouldn't that be the same thing with, did you take them back to service? There's still places that don't have, make it easy that you can get an oil change quickly and reasonably. We sell tires here. We're not tied in with the people that are our life's blood that keep the people circulating. Plus, you don't have to be a genius to know the profit in fixed ops is purer than the profit in variable. And yet look at the neglect there. You said you've been at 65% of the dealers. I'm everywhere. I still see places that don't have sales service meetings. So they let the same negative feelings fester forever. Salespeople hate the service people hate the salespeople. How about getting them the hell together and letting them see that it's a symbiotic relationship?
You know what's interesting too is that I did a video at a Subaru dealership a couple of years ago. Okay. And the video is, because people ask me, should I go to the dealer or should I go to an independent shop? All right. So I did a video that walked the customer through the service process from the customer driving in to being greeted by the service advisor, the walk around, the write up. I'm right in the car with the technician. We're going through what the customer can expect when they go in to get the car done. Okay, the entire inspection, the guy doing it on his phone, sending it to the advisor, sending it to the customer, right to the end where the customer picks up the car. That video in a couple of years has been viewed a little over 25,000 times. What I like about that video is that hundreds of comments and interactions with that, and I see all sides of it. So people are chiming in about their experience with dealerships. Some are saying stealerships. Some are saying, this is great stuff. I wish my dealer did that, or my dealer sends me this kind of stuff. So there's a lot of interest in it. But to your point, Larry, nobody's showing them that, right? But before we get too deep in, I wanted to ask, bringing people in is the one thing, okay? But now setting forth an onboarding plan and a career path. I'd like to talk a little bit about that. Share some of what you do, Chad, with some of the people that come in.
So we have a very defined onboarding plan, and it's because of the pressure of every single month, and I'll put myself out there, right? Especially when you bring in someone who's a top talent who is going to perform, right? Yeah. They're excited and you're excited. Well, guess how long they enjoy being on the sidelines and not in the game, right? So it's one of those situations where you have to be disciplined in your onboarding, and if you have the right people, they're going to be excited and frankly ready to go. But you're doing them a favor by putting them through your process, because the key is this: you want them to bring everything good from their past and leave everything else behind.
Yeah.
The last thing you want, they left where they came from for a reason, okay? Because they were expecting that you had something better to offer them, right, as a company and an organization. So what you want to be sure of is that you have thoroughly put them through your process and your expectation and your product. And it starts with a product, right? So product, people, and technology. If you've done so and you've given them the time to do that, then the ROI is going to be much higher, when you do take the leash off and say, hey, it's time to go out of the gate.
What I love about the onboarding piece of it and the career path piece of it is that is the prime time to have those conversations. Okay, when you're bringing them through your process. Look, I don't know everything. Nobody knows everything. But when you're bringing them through your process, they're contributing what they've been doing or what they see as best practices. Oftentimes, as the store, I pick up things from the new people that come in. Maybe a little different way to tweak my process, because it's continual evolution, right? We're never finished. It's always ongoing. I don't know, there's some feedback. I don't know where that's from. So I like that piece of it. It is very important, because if there's any disagreement, we're going to iron that out right in the beginning.
Well, now while you're working on an audio challenge there, Paul, so I'll jump in on this, but it's very important. Your business is unique, right? And for every dealer out there, I think it's so important that you want to distinguish yourself, to your customer. You have to be sure you're doing the same thing. It begins with your employees. And again, I use the look, feel, and smell, right? It's kind of like when you're buying a car, that new car smell. You don't want to look, feel, and smell like where they came from. And they have to see what's distinctly unique about your organization, your culture, your leadership. Because frankly, a lot of people think about it for every employee your job satisfaction comes from those you work for directly, which is typically your boss, right? Yeah. Is this a person that I want to be led by? Is this a company and an organization and their principles that I want to be a part of? Or is this just like a guy I'm going to do for a few months? So that's something in our industry. When you think about automotive, we rank just below, we rank just above the cable company and the dentist, right? So in order to change that culture, you have to be intentional about that. And one of our slogans, you go and you read some of our stuff, it says we're changing the way people think about buying a car. And we're doing the same thing with employees and showing them that opportunity. And when you identify the opportunity clearly and you show it to them, the right people are going to jump on the bus.
I like intentional. Nothing's by chance. Too many people go through life or through work by just checking boxes. There's no intention. They're doing something because they have to. It's time. I need to do this. No, you want to do it. If it's done with intention, then you're doing it to affect a certain outcome. Nathan says it's better to take time with one customer who pays maybe $100,000 or even $250,000 and to rush from person to person who each pays only about $25,000. I think he's talking about lifetime value of the customer. And look who's with us. My brother from another mother, Stan Scher. We're going to be having dinner, I think Tuesday night we're having dinner. Says, ooh, I love this. All my people. I sent him to a barbecue place in Hartford tonight.
We got some serious tip of the spear in the room tonight, Paul.
Oh, I'm loving it. I'm loving it. So now let's talk about pay. Not specific dollars and cents, but I've always believed you have to tailor the compensation in such a way that it speaks to people's why, right? They need to make a certain amount of money to live. They need to have a certain amount of lifestyle or schedule to enjoy that life, right? Mm-hmm. How do you look at like compensation and schedules, things like that?
You pay the right people, they'll always pay your business. I mean, it's that simple. Anytime someone comes to me and as a leader, you're always going to have that, right? The cost of goods are going up right now. Anybody know what the cost of a carton of eggs is right now? The cost of goods are going up, and we have people in our company where they're genuinely looking at what can I do to be sure I'm taking care of myself and my family. So as a business leader, you're always wondering, what can I do? If you have the right leadership and you have the right people, you're always trying to do the very best you can to be sure that everyone wins, right? Because if you have the right culture, you want to be sure that it's set up for success across the board. It's a win-win. So, there's some basic things that I think most of us subscribe to, and that is incentivize your team on the company's goals and organization, the organizational objectives. So those are all very important. But at the end of the day, when you identify top talent, if you have to wait and give them a 10% bump when they found a better place for them to go, then you waited too late. So, I made some promises with some teammates that I brought on board in the last 4 or 5 months. And, I had one of them that shook my hand last month and said, "You did what you said you were going to do." And I said, "Every time," was my response, right? Without hesitation, because as a leader, that's where you get their buy-in. And, you can either pull people to do what you want them to do, or you can inspire them to do what you want to do. And one of the ways we do that is to reward them for their success.
Word is bond. Larry, your feedback on this?
Well, it's really simple. Chad, I happen to think my compensations are pretty reasonable, but they've done studies, AutoNation and the like, how incredibly expensive it is to replace somebody. Oh. So if you're aware how important it is and how expensive and what you lose in between the gaps, doesn't it make sense to take care of the people you have? I try to train people that the best way to attract new customers is take care of the ones you already have, because word of mouth is 100 times more valuable than any advertising. Mm-hmm. So, again, I'm not being disrespectful to any dealers. I got a million friends that are dealers, but a lot of them don't really listen to what comes out of their mouth, or there's no sincerity because they talk culture. And when you go into their places, it's a joke and everybody knows it. So you really want to be in a position where you understand you want to attract people to you, because if you do that, they'll attract people to them, right? It's some of the oldest tropes. Steve Jobs, people said it before then, that if you really take care of your people, they'll take care of the customers. Mm-hmm. Again, because nobody on the show is 18 years old, we've all been through this. You go to a Saturday morning meeting, they beat you to death, they curse at you with language that would make a sailor blush, and then they say, "Okay, go out and sell some cars." Go out and sell some cars. I want to go kick my dog. You've turned me into a one-cell paramecium. So if we think about the fact, listen, again, you guys have been around the block like me. How many times have we seen a manager, instead of saying, "I knew you had it in you, you're my champion," go, "Yeah, about time you did something right." Shakespeare called it damning with faint praise. It's like giving somebody a compliment and they want to punch you in the mouth. No. Most managers, I'm not talking about your store, Chad. Can't wait to go see your store. Most managers never looked in the dictionary or online and don't understand the concept and definition of a manager as someone who manages. You've got to make your people feel part of a team. You've got to make them feel appreciated. You've got to lay things out. I love when you said you have a very solid process, because I've seen stores that have multiple processes, which mean they have no processes. If you're not doing things consistently, then what the hell are you doing?
Mm-hmm. A couple of takeaways here that I think anybody can see, okay? Word is bond. You tell somebody what you're going to do. You make that so that it's worthwhile because you've done the research, and then you actually do it, right? And then the other side of it is, so that builds trust. Making a sale is the same, whether you're making the sale to a salesperson coming on board, whether you're making a sale to a customer. A sale is a sale. I've told my kids since birth, life boils down to a car deal, okay? Mm-hmm. That's how life is. So you say what you're going to do, you do it, so you build the trust there. Now, the other piece that Larry tied in is extremely valuable also, because it isn't until you know what you've lost that you know what the value was in that. So why not proactively know what those values are? The data's out there. I know for a technician, for instance, an average technician, the turnover cost is $170,000. One technician. And we're not talking about a master tech either.
Keep in mind, Chad, because you're a friend of Paul's, I would do it for $150,000. So you saved $20,000 by being on the show tonight.
Oh,
Hey, Paul, you're going to have a bigger bird dog on this show than I normally say.
So do what you say you're going to do. Know what your losses are if you're going to experience them, and be prepared for that. And then the other piece I'd like to add in, because I met with someone that they were having some turnover issues, and we met for dinner. We went through some of the processes and things like how to structure a pay plan that gets their interest, keeps their interest, and then incentivizes them in such a way that they want more, but take it one step further. Know what your market is when it comes to income. Okay, we have so much technology available today. I was able to put together a compensation plan for a particular store, a particular department, based on the surrounding stores in that area. So now you know what you're dealing with, and you're starting yourself off on the right foot. That's something that so many dealers don't do. The thing that you mentioned, and the thing that I'm adding to it, that helps them to set themselves up for more success and cut down on some of that turnover. Let me get to a couple of comments. Nathan says people want to be compensated in the way that allows them to have a life outside of work. If they can't enjoy themselves outside of work, they're not going to enjoy themselves inside of work. I hate to say it.
If I can jump in on that, Paul, I'll just make a point. Is you treat people like they have a life outside of work, right? I'll save all the cliches for now. But when you have an individual, let's say they have a wife at home who's expecting a child or just had a child. Well, if you can save them a couple of hours to go home and be with their family, then that's all the compensation they need, because you just treated them like they're a human being. Okay, yeah. Put them in a position like that to say, hey, by all means, take off and take care of your family, because when they return, they're going to return it tenfold to your business. So that's a form of compensation, but it's also treating a person with respect, and you're really humanizing your business.
Chad, you want to also building on that. You want to really see something that's effective, that not only doesn't cost you, but it makes you. If you have enough people on your staff, what would be wrong with giving every fourth or every third Saturday off? Not obviously at the end of the month. Now they got something to look forward to. I mean, you're not taking anything away. You're building them up. It's like the guys that brag, I never go out to lunch and I never go on vacation. Well, then you're probably not as effective as you could be, because you're not giving your chance to recharge your batteries or breathe.
Yeah.
And not, and not from a discrimination component, but your top performers and your talent, they're not all equal. Okay. I'm sorry. No. In terms of their performance and their output, right? We're not talking about the individual as a human being. We're talking about the job that they do. So it's okay to reward performance. And if you've got someone who's a superstar, then by all means, reward them accordingly, right? And it's okay to get in that box instead of being stuck in this corporate persona where, okay, let me get the HR manager on the phone and we'll talk about your 3% bump next month, right? That's a killer for, meanwhile, while you're doing that, you're about to go spend the next 6 months and about $30,000 replacing that talent. That we've all seen that happen over and over again. And
for years.
But look how many, Chad, look how many people do themselves and their bottom line a disservice by tolerating salespeople that are selling very few cars a month. And the inverse proportion is, and you've seen it and I've seen it probably before we both fired people, that people that usually sell the least cars wind up with the most opportunities, the most ups, the most guests.
Sure.
And they just keep burning through them. And that, these opportunities are communal. We want to get these people in so we can sell them more cars, so we can get them into our service department. So a lost opportunity affects everybody.
I want to go to a couple comments there. Seth Belazaro says, is this video available to view after the live? I'd love to give it a second listen. This is awesome stuff. Thank you, Seth. Yes, you're viewing this on LinkedIn. Feel free to share this video. Just go in the upper right-hand corner, hit the 3 buttons, click share, or somewhere in there. You can just share it to your profile, and then that way you'll always have it in your list of activities. And if you think somebody might benefit from it, they'll be able to see it also. So thank you.
Or better yet, Venmo me $25 and I'll send you the footage before we went on the air. Chad had some fascinating stories and Paul gave several dining tips.
Larry just wants to get his power back on tonight.
Oh my God. I love this guy. Ben Koppel, a lot of what's discussed carries a lot of value as well. In addition to the salary, internal communication, career pathing, fostering an exceptional culture that promotes growth and development. Thank you. That's the goal. I'm not a fluff guy unless it's like food. I'll do extra fluff.
But the fluff has to be 4 different courses and has to be served to your liking.
I know a lot of tonight's, our discussion tonight has been around talent and getting the right people on board to build the team that essentially is going to take you, to the heights that you want to achieve. I think one of the biggest things, Paul and Larry, that as a leader of an organization that I bear the burden for, and that is setting them up for success, right? It's one thing to promise to them. It's another thing to deliver. And, I spend a lot of time on my Sunday nights thinking about what can I do for our structure, and, just to kind of give the audience a kind of clue into the way we do it. We don't have a finance team. You won't walk in our store and see a sales tower. You won't go in and find finance offices. We don't even have it. And, we were talking about sales versus service earlier. Every teammate we have are in sales and service. If you're a salesperson, why would you not want to be the one that's scheduling their next service? Right?
Yep.
If you're in service, why would you not be interested in help selling another car that's going to put a unit in operation that's going to help you rinse and repeat? Right? Well, the answer is if someone asks for help, the answer is always yes. Okay. And I think that's a key component because frankly, and I won't name names on this call, but they know who they are. We were all brought up in this business by someone who had a traditional method of automotive retail. And I think one of the key things as a manager in this business today is to get outside the box. And, for anyone who knows me or met me or understands my philosophy, I paint a big picture of the box in our office, and I dare someone to walk into it. I'm like, just stay away from it. I said, because that's gonna help us achieve what we need to achieve with true transformation. Everyone talks about AI and all this new technology and really being on the cutting edge. Okay, do you really? Okay, show me your processes, show me your team, show me your philosophy, and I'll tell you how close to that you truly are.
And Chad, show me an AI system that can put its arm around you, smile at you, or say, yeah, that happened to me too. I empathize with you.
So as a leader, it's very, very important to have in your mind the vision and then being able to execute that vision, and don't expect everyone to buy into it. Right. There's going to have some that are going to be immediately bought in. They're believing in the dream. And then you're going to have others that you have to continue to bring along. And then you have to continue to remind them of the why. And when you talk about change management, Paul, you've heard this a couple of times. When you talk about change management, hoping for the best is not a good strategy, right?
Hope is never a good strategy.
Clearly defined.
Hope makes a good guide, a good companion, but a poor guide.
Yeah. So if we as leadership, if we don't set that standard and then hold our team accountable, and I don't mean with a rod, this is an opportunity where I'm my own worst critic as a leader. I want to go back and say, did I really give them the tools they needed to succeed? When I shared that message, did I convey what I'm trying to share? Did I take the vision that's in my head and adequately, present that to my team? And if we're holding them to a certain standard, but we have to hold ourselves to a certain standard, and we got to look at that. We get in the office every day and say, do we really mean what we say right now? And I just think that's absolutely critical. And for anybody who's serious about, where is automotive headed? Well, I think the dealer's here to stay, but there's some things collectively we got to look internally, and we got to start in the mirror and say there's some things we need to change and stop doing them the way we've always done them, and get rid of that stench. And I think there are a lot of people that buy into that message.
One of my favorite quotes is my hero, Ben Franklin, who said, when you're finished changing, you're finished.
It's great. I love it. One of the problems we have as humans is that self-reflection. We're not very good at it. I work on it. I could probably use some improvement in it. But there are things that do have to change. It can't stay the same. And no matter what the technology is that we bring in, it's not going to replace the smile, the embrace, the let me hold the door for you. Any of those, I think Nathan Williams said it earlier on, people still crave the human touch, the human element, right? All these AI things, they're great. I see them as enhancements to what we need to do better as human beings. It's not to replace what we're doing, okay? Too many people get so lost in this AI thing. Mm-hmm. AI is not your creator. AI should be your editor to help you write something that you've created better. Okay. There are so many people that use it to create things that they've never done themselves, or they don't have any experience in. There's no substitute for experience. You can't fluff your way through it. You can't bullshit people through it. People know right away if you ever burned yourself on the stove, okay, so to speak, they know that stuff. So I'm with you. I think the dealer model is going to stay forever and ever, but we do have to change as an industry because we're losing opportunities. With cars being on the road longer now, and 7 in 10 of our customers leaving the dealership to go to the aftermarket, we need a checkup from the neck up and figure out how are we going to bring some of these older cars back into the store? How are we going to connect with these customers that want to come to us, that we're their car guy or we're their car gal? I think that's what's going to make the difference between success and no success going forward. Because as that dealer told me, I found a book that was at least 50 years old, and the stuff that's in that book is the same stuff that's applicable today. Any final words, gentlemen? I've loved this. Thank you both for being on.
Larry, you first.
Well, obviously it was a pleasure to meet you, Chad, and it's always good to hang with my buddy Paul. Likewise. The optimistic thing is, which I tell salespeople all the time, in an era where you can't get anybody on the phone, you can't get anybody to smile, what an advantage it is if you're smiling, if you're ambitious, and if you have a plan. So, and as far as what Chad was saying, listen, I know a lot of really nice managers that have made people go into the poorhouse. Mm-hmm. You want to hold your people to a standard, which only happens if you hold yourself to a standard.
Right.
So that's great. And that's all, man. Let's look forward. Let's kill 2025. Let's be smarter about what we do, and let's be more disciplined.
Chad, let's close it out, man.
Great stuff, Larry, and I'll just jump in. Having gotten back on this side of the desk now in the past year, I think the average person doesn't understand it's analysis of paralysis with all of the data. And I think that's the key component with all the technology is all the information we have access to as dealers today. And to be a true leader, to be able to take all this talent you've assembled, it's so important to be able to know what are the key factors that are going to enable my team, that are going to position my team to be successful. So I could go on and on about that, but I'll leave that there for now. Great teams achieve success. Elite teams sustain it. And that's what we're trying to do. And I think as a leader today in modern automotive retail, you have to wake up every day saying, what are we doing better today than we did yesterday?
Love it. And with that, I want to thank everybody for watching, whether it's live or on the replay. We have a lot of people that watch it on the replay. If you see value in what we talked about tonight, by all means, do share that with your network. And you might just help a friend. So with that, next week I'll be spending Sunday night with my granddaughter, but I'll be back in a couple of weeks and we'll have another exciting show for you. Gentlemen, stay on after we go off. Have a safe and successful next week, and we'll see you in a couple of weeks. Thanks for watching.
Cheers.